Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. We want to start out by sending our thoughts and prayers to Florida. We've got a lot of staff members that have families there and a lot of players from South Florida, and it's a tough hurricane, and some can't leave because they're older and have older grandparents. So again, for everybody in South Florida, we're thinking about you. North Carolina, we've had our share of hurricanes, and we know how devastating they can be. So and we're trying to keep contact with our players and their families and our staff and their families. So we'll continue to do that. Week's been good. Guys are excited about the game. Last year's game, they were much more physical on defense than we were offense. They forced 3 turnovers against us. We had 6 sacks and really started what was supposed to be a great season off on a really, really bad note. Starting over because the non-conference season now is over, and you've got the conference season. That's exciting. That's a new challenge. You always want to be in the mix and playing for a championship at the end of the year. And that starts this weekend without question. And it sounds like we right now, looking at the weather, understanding it could change, that it's going to be okay. There'll be some light rain and be windy, but it seems like that everything's in place for us moving forward to play the game. It's our cancer awareness game, where our players dedicate the game to someone in their lives that either have had or have lost their life with cancer for their family, or have had cancer, do have cancer, and they want to celebrate their life with them and say how much they care about them and how much they're thinking about them. The players also voted to have Tylee Craft as the honorary captain, and mine, Sally, and the team ball would go to him, and then each player would pick someone else other than that. So Tylee will be an honorary captain and be out there with our captains as we start the game. Virginia Tech's 1-0 in the ACC. We haven't played an ACC game yet. Coach Pry is new. He came in from Penn State as a defensive coordinator, and he worked with Frank Beamer and Bud Foster many years ago, and they are Virginia Tech when you start looking at the history of that program. And the 2 people that would be mentioned the most, it would be Frank and Bud. As you look at it defensively, they're really good. 14th in the NCAA and rushing defense. They're 3rd in the ACC. They're giving up 86 yards rushing. 26th in the NCAA and 2nd in the ACC in scoring defense. They're giving up only 17.5 points per game. 4th in the NCAA and 1st in the ACC and 3rd down defense. So the guys are really playing great defense, and they're tough, they're physical, they're fast, and we're not running the ball well. We didn't run it well against them last year. We had a little over 100 yards, and that'll be a tremendous challenge for Saturday. Offensively, they've got a lot of the same offensive linemen back from last year that are big and physical, and they've got really quick backs. They've got good receivers, and I've always been impressed with Grant Wells. He was I'm a football junkie, and I watch all the games. So at Marshall, he was very, very impressive. And when they got him to transfer to Virginia Tech, it was something I didn't like, because I thought, this guy's good, man. He's really going to help them moving forward. But the struggle we've had on defense against the run, they can run the ball, so they're going to line up and run it right at us. And offensively, we've got to run the ball better. That's just who we are, and then continue to try to make a difference in special teams. We're doing okay, but we're not making a difference. Questions?
All right, thanks, Coach. Our first question will come from CL Brown.
Hey, Mac, you talked about, wanting players to take ownership and player-led team. And we learned yesterday, Ray Vahasik told us that the defense had a players-only meeting on Sunday. From your experience in past, whatever the situation was that led to a quote-unquote players-only kind of meeting, what generally do you feel like is the benefit of those, and what comes out of that? Like, what can we expect? And I'm not even talking about X's and O's here, but just what do you expect after players kind of take that initiative to try and iron things out?
CL, it's pretty much just a group meeting to say, come on, guys, let's all do everything we can do. We're inconsistent. So step up and play better and get in bed and have energy. And so they're really just calling each other out in a positive way to say that this is not who we are, that we know this isn't who we are. This isn't how we practice. So why don't we play better? So I think that's it more than anything else. It's just a group meeting to sit and say, come on, guys, let's do this better. And we're doing it. It's about us. It's not about the coaches, and we need to play better.
And a follow-up on the running backs, as you talked about wanting to see if two guys kind of step forward and emerge from that. Has there been some progress you can tell us about on that end?
I think we'll have to wait and see on Saturday. Really, practice is different. You know, you have a lot of thud work, but you don't tackle in practice during the season, and so it's hard to tell if a running back's doing a lot better things when you're not tackling them. I think the biggest thing is none of these guys have started games before this year, so we're still trying to figure out who we are at running back, and probably, I mean, Caleb and DJ have played more than the others, but we've still got a lot of question marks and who should be out there every time, and trying to get rid of the inconsistency in our running game.
Luciano, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for your time. I hope you're doing well. Virginia Tech ranks 110th in the nation rushing offense. Do you see this game as an opportunity to work on your run defense?
Well, we just haven't been very good, and in fact, we've been poor in run defense, and I'm sure they're coming in looking at improving their run defense. I mean, their run offense against us, because we haven't stopped the run, and the same thing with us. We're working every day to try to do a better job of stopping the run, because for 100 years in college football, if you can run it and stop the run, you're probably going to win most of the games. And right now we're not doing either one very well.
Let's go over to Michael Coe.
Hey, Coach, with what happened at Georgia Tech earlier this week, it's you and Narduzzi are the only coaches in the Coastal Division who were there last year. With all the new regimes here in the Coastal, Pride, Virginia Tech, Elko, Duke, does it almost feel like you're preparing for a bunch of non-conference games as opposed to conference game teams that you would know better?
Mike, it is different. I didn't realize that until you just said it, but I did tell the coaches the other day, we just played a first-year coach at Notre Dame. We're playing a first-year coach this week at Virginia Tech. We're playing a first-year coach at Miami next week, and we're playing a first-year coach at Duke the next week. And then we've got Virginia later in the year. So I think it just shows you how hard this business is right now. People don't have patience, and they're paying coaches a lot more than they used to, and therefore demanding better results quicker and firing them much quicker. So and by now at the first of the year, when you play guys that are new on the staff, you really don't have a very good idea of what's going to happen. Like the offensive coordinator at App even changed up a lot of stuff that they were doing on us. But you get to this point, you've got resumes from 4 or 5 games on each team, so you got a pretty good idea of what they're doing. So that makes it a little bit easier.
And you kind of alluded to this before, but have you had the chance to meet Coach Pry at all? Did you meet him at the ACC kickoff? Have you run into him in any of your previous coaching stops?
Yes, the only time I've met him was at the ACC media days. ACC meetings this spring. I don't even know that we had a chance at the ACC media days to meet, because everybody's running around. You get to speak in the hallway or something, but we all meet on video Zoom call every month. So you get a feel of guys, and we did get to spend some meeting time together 2 or 3 days in a row down in Florida at the ACC head coaches meetings this spring. So I haven't been able to be around him a lot, but I've been impressed with what I see.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michael.
Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, in your experiences, can you recall any player-only meetings that had a significant effect and an immediate effect on performance and some of the other things that lead to performance?
I have, Andrew. The thing number one is you're not having unless you got problems. So that's obvious. They don't feel a need to do that if everything's good. So but we're really pushing hard to get more leadership and do a better job with player-led defense and offense. And that's something that we've talked about so much since last year. And they feel that need to step up and do that. We've seen a couple of confrontations on the sideline, and people have gotten stirred up about it. It's really a positive thing for us because we need people to start calling each other out and calling on each other. And we need a better response when they do, because we need to keep our composure and not get frustrated. But that's all part of growing up. That's all part of learning. And it's part of this team that's got a lot of young players getting better. So I've never worried about having them. Coach Roll just said, if they get together and vote, you want them to vote for you. So that would be the only thing. And they didn't seem to vote on us. So it seemed like they were talking about just getting better.
How did you find out about the meeting and what were your initial thoughts knowing that they did that?
I think one of you tweeted it and I saw it. Very honestly, I didn't ask them. They didn't come to me. I didn't know about it till it came from one of you.
Is that the way you prefer it?
I don't have a preference on player-led meetings. It's very unimportant to me. That's their business. A coach wouldn't be in the room. We wouldn't ask what they said. That's not our place. If they're going to have a players only meeting, they need to be able to share things that they need to share.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And Andrew, I'm not going to ask them about it. That's not my place.
Understood.
So
Understood.
I'm just, if they've got something they want to say to me, they come to me. So, and I trust them explicitly. So whoever was running that meeting was trying to run a meeting to help us get better. And I appreciate them.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Mac. Just wanted to ask you a hurricane-related question here. Assuming that Bubba and Rick Steinbacher and, of course, the ACC are the principal parties involved here, I mean, what sort of conversations have you all had about moving the game? And along with that, I mean, you know, the 2016 game, I know you weren't back yet, but the 2016 game against Virginia Tech was a mess in Chapel Hill. Just, you know, how has that factored into what you all have talked about?
Adam, we haven't talked about it at all. I check weather every day, and we our training staff and strength staff actually looks at and records what the weather is like wherever we're going to play during the time we're going to play, or really at the time we go on the field till the end of the game every week. And it looks like there's going to be 12-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be 0.023 rain, and that's it. So we haven't had any conversation at all. We're planning on the game going ahead. I know we had rain at Florida A&M. Somebody said we had rain the other day, and I didn't even realize it if we did. I guess we had rain before the game, maybe at Notre Dame, but
Georgia State drizzling.
Georgia State drizzling. Yeah, so we've had it about every week. So we're not concerned about it. We're concerned about the people in the path of the storm, obviously, but it doesn't look like it's going to affect our game at all, except maybe it will be more windy than our normal days.
Okay, thank you, Mac.
Yeah, and Adam, if that changed, obviously Bubba or the ACC, they would get together and they would call me and talk to me about it. But we have not had any conversation because right now I don't feel like they feel like the storm's headed this way.
Yeah, it just seems like with the specter of 2016, that was, you know, it was kind of a debacle?
Yeah, that would be a Bubba question, not for me, because I wasn't even here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, Ross Martin, go ahead.
Adam got a little Spectre word in there. Mac, Phil Longo talked to us on Monday about going for it on fourth down and your aggressive nature in the last couple of years. And even the fact that you'll tell him after first down or maybe after second down, like pretty early in the series, that this is a spot where we may go for fourth down. So consider that in your play calling. And he it was very interesting him talking about that. I was wondering your philosophy on going for it on fourth down, when you want to, what time in the game, what point in the game, what down and distance, and your philosophy on telling Longo during his play calling, at what point you want to let him know that situation.
Ross, really, unless the field goal is going to put the game away. And we're very likely to make it. I'd rather go for it. That's just the way I feel. Now, if you get to 4th and 4, you've got a good chance. The percentages are high. 4th and 1, really high. 4th and 2, good. You got a great chance. 4th and 4 is a little tougher. But we're not going to go for 4th and 8 very often, or we went for 4th and 17 the first year against Miami and made it, which is just unheard of. But I do feel like that we want to score points, and especially since we're struggling some on defense, and we want to score 7. We want to don't have 3, and there's absolutely no guarantee that your field goal is not going to be blocked, or you might miss it. And one of the really bad morale issues during a game to change momentum is you drive down and miss a field goal, because you've given up your opportunity to make the 4th down, and you're taking the field goal because you think that's 100%. And then when it's not, it puts you in a really difficult situation. So I have always been aggressive. But again, if he doesn't make any yards on first down, he doesn't make any yards on second down, that's usually why you wait. If it's 3rd down and 8, I will tell him at that point, then if we're 4th and 2 or less, we'll go for it. If not, we'll kick the field goal, because it does help determine play calls if he knows he's got 4 downs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, back over to Luciano.
Coach, how much of the offensive line's improvement, which you have already talked about, would you attribute to the players, and how much to Coach Bignell and the coaching staff from last year to this one?
Well, 2 of the, 2 of our 5 transfers are starting in the offensive line, and that's really helped us. Corey Gaynor's done an outstanding job because he's an older guy that's a big body at center. And Spencer Rawling gets better each week. He missed some time. We say he wasn't here in the spring. He missed some time in preseason, and he's been playing in the Ivy League for his time. So he hasn't played Power 5 except for 4 weeks, but he gets better. He had a really good job, good game, pass protecting the other day. And Coach Bicknell's a guy that's been a 10-year head coach. He's been 7 years in the NFL, and he's also won a Super Bowl. Son of a coach, played center himself. So he is also doing a tremendous job. And I do think it's helped a lot that he and Coach Longo and Coach Porter have all worked together at different places, because they're all on the same page. They believe in the offense, and I think that's huge too. It's easier for them to make adjustments because they've spent time together before on this offense, and they really believe in it.
Thanks, Coach.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hey, Mac, you mentioned earlier, I believe you called starting league play new starter, a fresh start. I mean, is that an important thing to remember here? And is that an important message that you're giving to your team coming out? Obviously Notre Dame was frustrating. Is that just an important thing that you're talking about with these guys, that, you have the whole conference season ahead of you here?
It is, Adam, because that's one of the reasons you play. That's why you have a conference. And also, this is the last year, as of now, the way I understand it, that there will be a Coastal and an Atlantic, and you'd love to play for the conference championship. So we've been talking about, regardless of who you play, practice to the standard of excellence and play to the standard of excellence every week. But you also have to consider that when you're starting league play, season starts over. And it's just what it is. If you were 0-4, you'd still have a chance to win your conference championship. And we're 3-1. And probably at the first of the year, people would have thought if we would be 2-2 or 3-1. They would have thought we probably couldn't beat Notre Dame because nobody in this league has for a long time. And we would have had trouble beating Appalachian because they've got such a great program. And we won one of those and lost one of those. So we're probably where someone would have thought or ahead going into conference play. And then it's unique that we played Virginia Tech in the opener last year and got whipped and we're a top ranked team. And that kind of put us in a tough spot with a lot of negativity to start the season with. And really we're kind of starting the season with them again this year. I do think the fact that we've been exposed in some areas over the last 4 weeks should help us Saturday, because we know, and Virginia Tech knows exactly what our issues are and what we're good at and what we're not. And we know what we've got to fix. It's there's no question mark about what they're going to try to do Saturday. And that's what college football is all about. We've got to step up and counteract what they're going to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our final question today will come from Michael Coe.
Mac, you were very complimentary of the atmosphere for the Notre Dame game last weekend. You said it was going to be one of the best ones since you've been back. Are you I know the Virginia Tech game is a sellout this weekend, but are you kind of tempering your expectations in that regard because of the forecast?
No, I'm one thing I don't want to do is not be sensitive to people who are trying to stay alive with the hurricane. So, I mean, to talk about everybody get to the game, and I mean, we've got a lot of people in harm's way out there. So I do want that to be the most important message leaving here today, is that take care of yourselves and hope everybody gets out of this thing safe. Secondly is our crowd was great last Saturday, and I want it to be the same this Saturday. Bring a rain jacket. If it's going to sprinkle, we need your help. We need a great atmosphere on Saturday. It was so good last Saturday, and it really helped us in recruiting a lot of the guys that were here and top prospects across our footprint were here, and commitments were here, and they were all excited about seeing themselves play in an environment like that each week. And we need the fans more than ever this week after a loss. And our students have been absolutely unbelievable. I know they'll be there, whether it's raining or not, because they've been there regardless of how we've played or what we've done for the 4 years we've been here. So I appreciate them so much. But the one thing I'm so proud of this team for is the way they fight every week. They've tried every week. And that's all you can ask a team. It's our job to get them better. But the fourth quarter Saturday, they were fighting as hard in that fourth quarter as they were the first quarter. And that's what fans should appreciate. And that's what you ask your team to do. You want them to represent you properly, and you want them to give you everything they've got. And so far, to my knowledge and watching, and I'm trying to be really honest and hard on them, they are trying so hard. And that's what led to the player-led meeting, I'm sure. And they want to get this thing fixed. They want to be good. And everybody works hard in the country. Not everybody plays hard every Saturday. And that's what this team's done so far. They've given us 4 Saturdays where they've played really, really hard. And I said it Monday, but they had an opportunity. They could have laid down and quit on Saturday because they got behind. They got in trouble right before the half, and right after the half, things looked really bad. We had the tough call on the 4th down with them going in. I thought there was a couple of things there with a possible false start, and then the 4th down call that went against them. They kept playing. So it was just they didn't gripe. They didn't really get frustrated. They just kept playing. And Jeremy's got a call from home, I think. I don't know what it is. But with even so proud of Will Hardy, as I said Monday, batting that ball loose at the goal line at the end, just to try to make a play. And if they'll keep trying that hard, we're going to be fine. And that's just what we've got to do.
And just one more quick one. How has Noah Burnett looked taking kickoffs in Jonathan's place so far?
He's looked good. He's kicked them in the end zone since he's been here, and Jonathan's just the best in the country, or one of the best, because he kicked them out all the time. So we just haven't seen Noah do it in a game. And we've got Todd Pledger, another young guy that's a walk-on that can kick off as well, and he kicks it deep. So that's just something else. We'll have to see how it goes on Saturday. And the wind may be a huge difference, because you usually aren't looking at 12 to 13 mile an hour winds. And it seems like that more than the rain, the wind could be a factor in the game, especially the kicking game, maybe the deep passing game on Saturday, because we usually don't see that type wind. And thank goodness for the turf, because if it rains really hard before the game, like it did, which was I guess we had a downpour right before Florida A&M.
Yeah.
And we didn't have one. Did we have one before Notre Dame?
Maybe brief.
No, I think it was Florida A&M, I think, but you couldn't even tell on the field. It made no difference. So that's why I'm not concerned about how much it rains between now and game time. The field will be very playable if it's raining during the game. We've practiced during the rain. We've played during the rain. So I do think the wind would be a bigger concern than the rain on Saturday, from what I can tell.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, that's the last one we had for you. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Mark. See you guys on Saturday.